നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ പല സമയത്തും നമ്മൾ കുറേ മിസ്റ്റേക്സ് ഉണ്ടാക്കും. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് നെസസറിലി ബിക്കോസ് വി ഡോണ്ട് നോ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ്. സംടൈംസ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബിക്കോസ് നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇത്ര കാലം സംസാരിച്ചത്, നമ്മൾ റിയലൈസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടേ ഇല്ല അതൊരു മിസ്റ്റേക്കാണ്. സോ ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത് കുറച്ച് കോമൺ മിസ്റ്റേക്സ്, സം മിസ്റ്റേക്സ് ദാറ്റ് വി മേക്ക് ആൻഡ് വി ഡോണ്ട് ഇവൻ നോ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ മിസ്റ്റേക്ക്. The first one is when you are asked to introduce yourself. If you are a married person, there are a lot of people who say, I'm married with a doctor, I'm married with an engineer, with a teacher. You can never be married with somebody, but you can be married to somebody. So you would have to say, I'm married to a doctor, I'm married to an engineer, or I'm married to a teacher. Now the second most common mistake that we make is, imagine a scenario when you are being asked to talk about your daughter. So you tell your daughter's name, you would say things about her, and you would say, she's very good in dancing. So always when you are using an activity, whether it is good or bad, you always use at, which means that you would say, my daughter is very good at dancing. I'm very bad at dancing. My son is very good at typing. I'm very bad at swimming. So any activity, if a bad or a good is coming before any activity, you always use at, and it is not in. So it is not she's very good in dancing, but it is she's very good at dancing. The third most common mistake that we make is when we talk about preference. So if I'm going to ask you, do you like coffee or tea? You might say, I prefer coffee than tea. If I'm going to ask you, do you like reading books or watching television? You would say, I prefer reading books than watching television. Well, that's not the correct usage. You always have to use to. I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer reading books to watching television. This is a very common mistake that we make because we don't even realize it is a mistake. So the next time when you're talking about preference, it is always to. I like buying gold jewelry to buying silver jewelry. So it is always to. Now the fourth most common mistake that we make is when I ask you, what do you enjoy doing? You might say, I enjoy to read, or I enjoy to stitch clothes. It is always an ing form after enjoy, which means I enjoy reading books. I enjoy stitching clothes. Now if you can look back to all the times you've spoken, you may be able to remember that you've also made this mistake. It is a very common error which can be rectified now. Since you've listened to this, the next time you can rectify this error. Now we're coming to the fifth most common error. So suppose you're asking a formal request like, would you mind? For people who've not heard this form of talk, would you mind is a very formal request, like how you ask somebody, can you open the window? A very formal way of saying it is, would you mind opening the window? But a lot of times we say, would you mind to open the window? Or would you mind to give me the pen? Again, remember, it is an ing form after the formal request. Would you mind opening the window? Would you mind giving me the pen? Would you mind lending me some money? Always after would you mind, it is the ing form. Now the sixth most common error is when we talk about a habit. Like if I'm going to say a sentence like, I'm used to waking up in the morning. A lot of you would say, I'm used to wake up in the morning. Now you know how that mistake comes, because when we talk about a past habit, I used to wake up in the morning. But when you say, I'm used to waking up in the morning, it's a habit. It is still happening. So there you use the ing form. For other examples are, I'm used to watching television in the afternoon. I'm used to eating eggs for breakfast. So which means it is a habit. So I'm used to with an ing form denotes a habit. Okay. So I hope you have listened to some of the common errors, and not just listened, I hope you are taking all measures to rectify all these errors. So the next time you come across a sentence like this, you know what is the correct form.